And obviously, I'm not going to try and repeat what Matt did yesterday with Ned, as I know you'd experienced at times in a past life. But
I do. I had many engagements with Matt Lee in my time.
The idea, though, and you've done this a couple times, and the British have to some degree as well, getting out in front. I think almost giving insight into intelligence that perhaps past administrations, including past Democratic administrations, would not have done.
Yeah.
Can you explain kind of the thinking in that strategically and why you guys have decided to get out in front on these types of things in this moment in time?
Sure. So over the past several months, we, but also a number of our allies, have developed a significant amount of credible intelligence about Russian efforts to use a false pretext to justify an invasion of Ukraine. And this evidence mirrors both public reporting and Russian accounts in past conflicts. And I would note a number of your outlets obviously have reporters on the ground, right, who are seeing for themselves what is happening. What is also true is that we've seen Russians' actions over the past few years. If you look just back at past precedent, it doesn't mean it's guaranteed to repeat, but it is important for people to understand contextually what they're capable of and what tactics they've used in the past. And sometimes you do see repetition of that. So a few years ago, for example, Russia's defense ministry falsely accused the United States of running a clandestine biological weapons lab in the country of Georgia, enabling Russia's efforts to destabilize the Georgian government. Russia also used to fabricate stories in Syria about how attacks on international aid convoys were undertaken by rebels or terrorists instead of the Assad regime to enable Russia's continued support for the Assad government. If you look back at 2016, the Russian media manufactured a false claim of sexual assault against a Russian immigrant named Lisa by German refugees in order to stoke hysteria against Syrian immigrants throughout Europe. And there's more. Russian state television aired a false report that claimed the Ukrainian army had crucified a 3-year-old Ukrainian boy. That is even more recently. So our objective is to deny Russia the opportunity to use these lies to justify an invasion of Ukraine. And to convey clearly, these are actions we're seeing that are straight out of their playbook. We've seen them run false flag operations in the past and use confusion to launch military action many times in history. Of course, we would prefer to make as much underlying information available as we can. And in fact, what we conveyed yesterday and was conveyed by my colleagues at the Defense Department and State Department was the result of declassifying information. There are limitations because of compromising intelligence sources and methods. But what we're trying to do is take steps to deny Russia the opportunity to use lies, to use past tactics to justify an invasion of Ukraine, essentially to avoid war.
Go ahead. Thanks, Jen. If Putin decides to make a move into Ukraine, how long does the U.S. believe that the Ukrainians could hold off a full Russian takeover?
Jackie, it's a great question. I would really point you to the Department of Defense to make any assessment if they can. And obviously some assessments they may not be in a position to make publicly.
That they would not want to share publicly or that they don't know?
Again, I'm just conveying that there are some assessments, and obviously as the Department of Defense does a range of contingency planning. I'll let them speak for themselves on what they could lay out publicly for you.
And then we've known about the reality of this threat since October. Putin began amassing troops on the border in April. So why have we waited so long to send the kind of aid that we're sending now? Why haven't we sent, for instance, anti-aircraft weaponry? Because if Russia does an airstrike, wouldn't they be able to obliterate what we've sent to them so far?
Well, remember the president met with President Zelensky back in, I think it was September, but you can correct me if that's wrong. It was sometime early in the fall, and committed to a large aid package. That is something that we've been implementing and delivering since that point in time. So actually it's been continuous security assistance that we've been providing to the Ukrainians, an enormous package that we've been providing over the course of the last year. In terms of weapon systems, I had again pointed to the Department of Defense.
The feeling within the administration is that we have responded in a timely manner to Ukraine's concerns.
I think what's important for people to understand is that this has been continuous. It wasn't that we had never provided aid, whether it's humanitarian or security assistance, and all of a sudden we did recently. That has been a continuous process. We've provided hundreds of billions of dollars in aid, security assistance over the course of not just the last year, but long before that, and including a commitment the president made and was announced around President Zelensky's visit.